Morning, everyone. I'll just make a slow start just while I wait for everyone to join and connect to audio. Okay, perfect. Looks like we have most people here now. So good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name's Megan Winch. I'm one of the recruitment admissions advisors here on the Oxford MBA. I'm delighted to have Rachel Keeney join me this morning from our programs team. And Rachel is going to take you through what a year might look like for you on the Oxford MBA program. If you do have any questions for Rachel, please do submit these using the Q&A box. We'll try and get through as many as possible and try and leave time at the end for questions as well. So thank you very much, Rachel. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Megan. So as Megan said, I'm Rachel Keeney. I'm the head of academic delivery on the MBA programme. We split our team MBA academic delivery, which is my side, and then my colleague Amy Major looks after the co-curricular, and I believe you're going to be hearing from her later on this afternoon. So I'm just going to give you an overview of the MBA academic side, talk a little bit about the programme, how it's set up, how we break it up into different sections, how we're innovating, and then ultimately what makes Oxford such a great place to take your MBA. So we'll go through the programme review, the what of the programme, the who, how our class is made up, the kind of people you can expect to meet, the how we're innovating, how we're changing our programme, and then why you should be coming to Oxford to do your MBA and why that's going to be the best experience you could have. So this just gives you an idea of the programme. In Oxford, we split our terms up. We've got Michaelmas, which is our first term from September to December. We've got Hilary, which is our January to April term. And you've got Trinity term running April to July, and the long vacation, which runs July to September. Because we're a one-year course, we do teach across all four of those terms. We run it in a way that you have your pre-arrival sessions. That's when we have a portal up for you online, so you can start to connect with the class. You can start to look at the co-curricular offerings available to you. You can start to see what you need to do before you get here to prepare. And then we kick off with our induction, which is called Launch, which is 2 weeks of academic work, careers development, events. You get to go around Oxford and eat in some great places, have drinks receptions in some great places, have a traditional Oxford debate. And then you get into the term time when we start to look at your core courses. The way that we plan the programme as such is to have quite a restricted course to start with. So you have your core courses taking place in Michaelmas term, which you all take part in, and your integrative modules, which again, you all take part in. And in Hilary term, you start to open up a little more. We finish the core courses, and then we introduce a core plus elective. And these are 3 specific electives that are built to develop on the areas within the school. So you could have a finance one, have a marketing one, you could have a strategy one. And they represent the 3 different areas we have within the school. So you've started to get a bit more choice there. You also start your applied learning in Hilary term. So you've got Global Opportunity and Threats Oxford, also known as GO2, where you're put into teams, but you've chosen the route that you want to go down. So there's a little bit more choice there. Later on in Hilary term, you also start EP, which is the entrepreneurship project. There you're really starting to get more flexibility in who you're working with, what you want to be looking at, as you get to choose your team, you get to choose the subject or the company that you're going to be building on. And then it's all really dictated by yourselves and gives you a chance to really build on what you're interested in. And then finally, we come to Trinity term, which is purely elective. So you don't have any core courses. You've got the entrepreneurship project, which continues, but you're then able to really personalize your timetable. You can pick from we normally offer about 40 electives in Trinity term. You're able to pick 5 of them. So you can really concentrate on either going down one path. For example, if you're interested in finance, you'll be able to pick 5 really good finance courses. Or if you want to go for a more general approach, you'll be able to pick different electives from lots of different areas, but really personalize the timetable to what you're looking to get out of this program and what you want to be doing after you've graduated. Finally, we've got the long vacation, which allows even more choice because it's not just electives that you could be choosing. You could really pursue an internship for credit. And a lot of people take this as an opportunity to try and get their foot in the door for companies that they'd be interested in working for in the future, and to still gain credit for it. So you're not restricted by having to be within Oxford and having to take the electives for credit. The only other option is the strategic consulting project, which gives a chance for students to work in smaller groups, normally 4 to 5 people, and focus on a real problem in a real company. Companies come to us and suggest an issue that they would like addressed, and our MBA students go and fix it for them, which is a really exciting opportunity for you to get some experience within possible ways, companies that you'd like to be going to work with. We finally end the year after a whirlwind with Capstone, which is a celebratory week of events, sessions with you. You can invite your friends and family to join some of them as well. We normally have dinners, drinks receptions, an Oxford debate, and we end all of that with an end of course ceremony at the Sheldonian Theatre. We do that ceremony because unfortunately graduation is done by your colleges, which you'll learn a little bit more about later. And because of that, you don't get to graduate as a whole class. So we put on this end of course ceremony to allow you to celebrate together as a class, to recognise each other. We give out some awards for academic achievement, have some speeches from faculty, from students, from guest speakers, have a beautiful choir, and it's just a really nice way to wrap up what's been an incredibly intense year before you all go off and do wonderful things for us and make us proud. I've added just that blue line across the bottom as well, that during all of this time, there's all the co-curricular events that are also happening. So you can pick things that you're interested in. You can focus purely on the academic side and not be doing co-curriculars. You could be doing loads of co-curriculars. It really gives you the opportunity to personalise and do as much or as little as you wish. And that's something that my colleague Amy Major will be talking about later on this afternoon with you. And just the final note there, we do continually try and improve our programme. We work closely with our faculty and with our students to take feedback. So although this is the way that the programme looks and this is the way the programme will be running in September, elements of it do chop and change each year. So we work to make sure we're better. We've obviously adapted for COVID and are now going back to a normal year. So we're constantly developing that. So there may be slight changes between academic years. This just gives you an overview of what the year in the life of an MBA looks like. So you can see how our terms are split up across the top. You can see the weeks that we run things. So we work at the school, we work in weeks and terms. So you can see Michaelmas is split into 2 blocks, as is Hilary and Trinity. This was one of the innovations we introduced a few years ago. The idea being that instead of doing 6 or 7 courses at the same time and fighting to get that kind of space in your brain to work on it and work the assessment at the end of the month, this gives you a chance to really focus and really dive deeply into a few subjects at a time. Focus on them, do your assessment, and then you can move on to the next subjects and give them as much focus as well. This has been really popular with students and faculty, so it's something that we are looking to keep going forward. But you can see how the blocks work. You can see the cores going into the cores and the electives, and then the electives. So that kind of colour change shows you the freedom that's opening up. You can also just see the numbers of the MBA. So we've got 9 core courses. They're the courses that everyone does throughout the year. We've got the 1 integrative module, which is called Global Rules of the Game. Then you've got 2 projects, the Entrepreneurship Project and Go2. And then you get 8 credits that are made up of electives, or electives in an internship, or electives in a strategic consulting project. And that gives you all the credits you need to pass the MBA course. So how is the class set up? This year we do have an incredible amount of students. We've got 355 students in our current cohort. 320 is our normal cohort size, but we're obviously sizable and we can't teach all of you at the same time. We've got 71 different nationalities. 94% of our students are international, and at the moment we've got 44% female. The highest we've been 47, and this is something we're really proud of because that is higher than the average across the MBA programs. So it's something we really work on, and we're really pleased with the results that we get. So obviously with 335 students, you can't get a really great teaching environment from that. So we split you into sections. At various times throughout the year, we've had 16 sections of 20 people. And that was something we did for COVID, so that we could still have people being taught in person for the best possible experience. Or we've split into 4 sections of 80 people, various different ways, but we split you into sections so that you can have a worthwhile teaching experience rather than sitting in the back of a huge lecture theatre. We then further split those sections into study teams. And this allows you to work with a smaller group of 4 or 5 students on assessments within Michaelmas term, but it also really gives you a chance to have a core group at the very start to support each other if there's absences. We find that study teams are normally a real close group that really go throughout the year on the MBA and then into the future with you as well. So how are we innovating? It's all very well to claim we are. What are we doing that proves this? As I touched on, we have a variety of teaching sizes. We've gone from 80, and you can go all the way down to 20. And then you've got the smaller groups as well of around 5 or 6 when you're in your teaching sections. We've also got a new core course that was introduced a few years ago. That core course is called Capitalism and Debate. And we saw that there was an opportunity for us to get another core course in. It was taken, we took one of the electives away, or the credits for the electives away, so that everyone could get this extra course in, which is really important to just keep on moving with the times, make sure that we're relevant and we're working for what the modern MBA recruitment world really wants. We've also introduced a program called Oxford Insights. This was introduced slowly a couple of years ago with just a presentation in launch, but it's run by one of our faculty members who really wants to make Oxford part of the MBA. And I'll touch on this later as well. And then finally, we've introduced asynchronous material to really help with the amount of work that you're having. So each course has been introducing asynchronous, so it's work that you can do before you come to the classroom to really enhance the experience that you have in the classroom. These can consist of videos, it can consist of case studies you need to read, group work, kind of pre or post teaching session work. That means that when you're in the classroom itself, you're able to have really good discussions and not have to be kind of taught the basics before you get there. We found that's been really popular with faculty who have enjoyed having the opportunity to change up their course a little bit more, introduce some asynchronous material, but also with students that are feeling like they're really committing outside the class as well. It gives you a chance to work with your study teams, kind of really prepare. And it means that when you're in the classroom, you're also expecting more from each other, and you can really commit to what you're getting on with. So, what is it about Oxford that makes the Oxford MBA the place to be? So we touched on tutorial style. That's very Oxford, Cambridge. These traditional universities like to work in these smaller groups of, again, these 4 or 5 students, and having this one-to-one tutor to really work on a problem with. That's something that we utilise in the Go-To project. We link each team with its own tutor, and as well as presentations and workshops, you do get regular tutor sessions throughout the course of project to really work on your ideas, to really help you for the final assessment at the end of it. We also then work closely with the Scholl Centre, which is one of our co-curricular centres Amy might mention later. They really help to run the Go-To project because the head of Go-To is Professor Peter Drobak, who is the head of the Scholl Centre as well. So we get involvement from the wider part of the school, which means that you're not so siloed as just being on your programme and only working with the MBA faculty or the MBA admin team, which is really valuable for the overall development. And then we've got the Entrepreneurship Centre that are very strongly supporting the entrepreneurship project, unsurprisingly. They work closely with the entrepreneurship faculty to really help support you. Again, we have tutors for the entrepreneurship project, and they are from various different markets to make sure that you've got someone that's relevant to the company that you're setting up, that you're working on. But you can also then reach out to Foundry, which is that building in the top picture there, who are really here as a hub for entrepreneurship in the wider university and not just Said. So it's another way of linking us in with Oxford and really getting value out of the city that you're in and how you're developing, how you're spending your time whilst here. The next point there, Oxford Insights. So I touched on this earlier. This was a new introduction where we really wanted the opportunity, following feedback from students, to involve Oxford within your MBA. Some of the feedback that we previously had was that it's great to be here in the city, but you've got a year and the year goes quickly, and you don't necessarily get the opportunity to take advantage of this historic city and to really get to know it outside of walking around and seeing the beautiful buildings. So what we've created alongside Professor Pegram Harrison, who's leading this, is the opportunity to go into some of these buildings, to learn a bit more about it, and within that to learn about business within Oxford itself as well, just to be able to link back to your course. At the moment, it's not a for credit course, which means that you're purely doing it to enhance your learning, to enhance the situation that you're in. For example, we've gone out to the Sheldonian and we've had expert architects speak to students, have explained the way the buildings are set up. We use the Bodleian Library, we use Divinity School, all these amazing historic buildings to learn more about what's going on. I think the next thing that we are setting up is watching rehearsals of the Oxford Philharmonic Orchestra. And then Professor Pegram Harrison is the expert in this field, so he can explain how the way that the music and the rehearsals are working really enhances your leadership skills, and how that then relates back to your MBA and the business that you're looking to go into afterwards. So it's just one of these ways to really try and add in your Oxford experience. One of the ways that we've innovated from feedback from previous students to really work on. And the final point I've just put here, your Oxford MBA, is that you get a college affiliation, which a lot of universities and a lot of places where you're doing an MBA, you don't get. This allows you an extra side of the programme. You can see the building behind me in my screenshot is the business school. This is where you spend a huge amount of your year. But we appreciate the fact that you're in a beautiful city, you will have friends and family that you want to spend time with, and the college gives you an opportunity to have friends outside of the MBA programme, to be able to mix with other students, to hear their experiences of the programme and to learn from each other, which is just all something that can only help you in terms of your leadership and in terms of the development that you have as a business leader in the future. So you can see a picture there, that's from Keble College, which is one of the 42, I believe, colleges that we have at the university. You will be able to apply. Some of you might have already applied to certain colleges, and there are lots of different advantages to each one. We've got a number of colleges that accept MBA students. It gives you a chance to have formal dinners. There are normally bars there, to meet the undergrads, to meet the other master's students, the DPhil students, to sit with the faculty that are belonging to the colleges as well, and just really immerse yourself in this historic city. I think that is the end of mine. Run through it, so I'm sure there will be lots of questions. Please bear with me, but we will work through all the questions. Thank you very much for listening to my rambling, and I will just get our questions up and we can look through there. Perfect. So we've got a question here about interaction between the sections. Are the sections just the core courses? So there is absolutely interaction between the sections. The way that we split you up is purely for fitting you into lecture theatres, because we've got the physical space that we need to work with. There are then wider opportunities that Amy will talk to you later. For example, our Oxford Business Networks, our various student council events, our various leadership opportunities within the school, where you will be mixing with everyone. The sections are in place for Michaelmas term. You'll then split into different sections the Hilary term based on the interest that you show for different go-to areas. So you do get the opportunity to meet as many of your classmates as possible. We don't want to be restricting you to just having these 80 people. So you get to mix with lots of people, and hopefully that will give you an opportunity to not feel restricted in who you're meeting. But there's also all the social events that will be going on. For example, in Launch, although some of your teaching is split into sections, some is split in other ways, and you've got the drinks receptions, you've got the dinners, you've got the debates where you're meeting everyone. And of course, there are the odd plenary sessions as well, where we do have all of you in our largest lecture theatre, And that's when we can get really incredible guest speakers that aren't able to kind of speak to you 4 or 8 times in different sections, and they can speak to everyone there. So you'll always be able to meet lots of people and really meet as many people as you can throughout the course. So we've got a question about, if I get one or more opportunity of internships outside the UK, can I get authorization from Oxford to fulfill requirement for graduation? Yep, so it doesn't have to be an internship in the UK for your internship for credit. We have people going absolutely everywhere. Obviously, there was the time when COVID was at its worst, where people were mostly doing online ones, but we absolutely will work with individuals to get the best opportunity for you of your internship. So they sit within the summer, you can go absolutely anywhere, and because it's for credit, that really works within your visa requirements where you'll be going. And it will just be that you have to do it within certain days. So there are criteria that our projects office will work with you on. You have to start by a certain date, you have to end by a certain date, because you should be doing it within the terms of the year. But yeah, absolutely, please do it outside the UK. You can do it anywhere as long as it meets the criteria of the dates and of being of a suitable level for an MBA student. We don't just want you photocopying, we want you really being able to relate it back to your MBA learnings. Can you explain the core plus electives a bit more? So there's an elective for each. We have academic areas at the school. We've got the FAME area, which is finance. We've got SIM, which is strategy and marketing. And we've got TOPOS, which is the operations, technology, etc. So each of those areas offer a core plus elective. They take place in the Hillary term. And it's if you have been particularly interested, or if you know for your career aspirations that one of those areas is most relevant for you, you can pick one of those electives to focus on a bit deeper, to really work out your basic knowledge before we're working into Trinity term and developing those electives as well. And yes, you do just take one of those 3 electives. They all run at the same time, so you are limited in which one you can take, but then obviously you have the opportunity to develop further in the electives that you pick for Trinity term, to work more on marketing or strategy or finance, etc. Someone has a question that I think is best directed to the admissions team. So if you want information on how many MBA students can get into colleges, if you check in with Megan, her team, then they'll be able to let you know which colleges are open, what spaces they have, kind of what opportunities you have there. A good question. This is one I feel like I should address in the presentation, because we do often get it in here. You are allowed to join classes outside of the business school. This is dependent on the department, not our department. So you would be able to audit the courses. You can't take them for credit towards the MBA, but we absolutely have people that will contact, you've used the example philosophy or history, you can contact those departments, get an idea of their schedules, what courses they have, and apply to audit them. Each department may have their own auditing policy, so you would need to work out what works with them. And we would suggest that you only take part in courses which don't clash or cause extra stress on your MBA program, obviously. But yes, please do take advantage of the fact that you're in the #1 university in the world, and that you can go out and get all this extra teaching if you want to. Like this is the year, this is the opportunity, you can make the most of it as you want. So please do go out and audit and work with other departments as well if you'd like to. So the exact dates for launch. So the launch for September this year will be starting on Monday, the 19th of September. You will be added to our MBA portal, which is your kind of pre-arrival site, in June, normally at the start of June, and you'll start to be able to work through what needs to be done before, send us information that we need, kind of practical information, dietaries, etc. Means that we can order you name tags and name cards for teaching. So that's the 19th. Launch then lasts 2 weeks, and core teaching will start on Monday, the 3rd of October. So that's when your core courses start to kick off. That's when you're put into your sections for teaching. So that's when we need you all on the ground, and we'll be doing, obviously the plan is launch in person, which we were able to do last September, which was wonderful. It's such a busy, bubbly week because everyone's on such great form. And from our point of view, all of the staff get involved. Everyone wants to meet the MBA students because you're our biggest program. You're the one that we're invested in. So that's the 19th of September and then the 3rd of October for the start of core courses. Yeah, so there are a couple of questions on the allocation of electives. There is a bidding process. We actually have a site built called the Student Option System. All of the electives are listed there, and within it is built the chance that you can't clash, or you can't do electives that at the same time or on the same subject, etc. You do bid. You are given 100 points and you have to bid them across 5 electives. Ideally, and for the most part of those 40 electives, we can then just work on who's bid what and allocate. There are the odd electives that are oversubscribed at times, in which case we then come back to your points and it's the people that have bid the most points that would get it. We would then go back to anyone that wasn't unsuccessful and they are given the first opportunity to go back into the system and pick from electives that are still available after the initial stage. So that is how we work our Trinity and our summer options. It's all done through bidding. So it's as fair as it can be. There's no first come, first serve at that initial stage. So it is all down to you guys, I'm afraid. So initially we did have years ago a first come, first serve system, and obviously it was very unfair and a lot of it fell onto the admin team. So this new system really works for us and hopefully gives you the best opportunity to get the courses that you're really interested in. Right, so we've got a question. In the last term of the programme, can the academic calendar accommodate a structured internship? For example, those in consulting firms and investment banks. It completely works on, depends on the date, sorry. We do have a dedicated careers team that you will either have met or will be meeting over the course of this. They work really closely with us and with our projects team who look after the internship credits to try and get you the best opportunities. We also try and work really flexibly to make sure that we can give you the best chance as well to get the internship that means something to you. So don't see anything as off limits and we will try our very hardest. So work closely with us as soon as you know about a potential opportunity with myself, my projects team, and our careers team to make sure that we can get you into the jobs and the internships that you're most interested in. Good, so the study teams, will the team of 5 or 6 people carry on throughout the entire year or does it change every term? This is a good question. It does change every term. So you've got your single sections for the first Michaelmas term, and I'm going to touch on someone else's questions, which is also in there, and how they're chosen. We try and get as diverse as possible across the sections and across the individual study teams. So we go through and make sure that within the programme, we've got as many different genders, different nationalities, different work backgrounds in each section. When we're then looking at doing the study teams, again, we will work through and make sure we've got different genders, different nationalities, different work backgrounds, different ages in that team, just to try and reflect on how different the world is outside, how diverse it is, and to make sure that you're getting the most out of your team. It means that when you're going into a marketing class, for example, there might be an incredible marketing professional in your study group, but there'll be other people that marketing is very much a weakness for. So you can work together and really help each other through the core courses on Michaelmas term. The study group does then change because when we go into Hillary term, you are put into your go-to teams. So the study teams become irrelevant and your go-to teams become the teams that you work within. And if there are then assessments in teams on the core courses, it's still in that go-to team that you work. So you're not in too many different teams at the same time. It's then entrepreneurship project that you, again, that's your completely decided team. So you get the opportunity to work with lots of different people intensely. We historically did keep the same study team throughout the year, and we did find that there were more issues with that. So we've tried to mix it up in response to student feedback in the past, just to really keep everything as fluid and as reflective of the real world as possible. Right, let me see where we are. If you would like to prepare core course study material before the programme starts in September, how can you go about that? At the moment, anything that we have that will be for you to prepare in advance will be put onto the MBA portal. As I said, that normally goes live as early as possible in June. It's being worked on at the moment. Amy Major, co-curricular queen, will be looking after that mostly. So do check in with her. Often faculty don't put specific study material on there because they want you to be focusing on that when you're actually at the school. There is, however, lots of careers work that you can go through, lots of opportunity to develop there, and lots of chance to put yourself forward for leadership positions, get involved with any of the co-curricular labs or the programs and apply for them. The actual readings will be available through our virtual learning environment, which is called Canvas, and that will be shared with you before the courses start. So you will have some time to go through it and really absorb it before you're sitting in the lecture theatre on day one. So the timing of internships, when will you know about them? So that depends on when you are applying for them, when the internship starts, but the internships fit within the summer term. So it's normally May time that you would be letting us know that you want to do an internship for credit over the summer. However, at this time, for our current cohort, we already know who is doing some internships because they've already signed their contracts. So we just wait for them to then tell us when it comes to the options. However, you do have until really June to be swapping if you'd like to. If, for example, you've initially said, I will be doing electives over the summer and an amazing internship opportunity comes up, we can always help you. We will swap you out of what you had previously said in the summer and get you onto the internship instead. So again, we will try and be as flexible as possible. There are occasions where we have to say no to you, but do know that actually we are all much happier, yourselves and us, if we can say yes, and we will try and be as flexible as possible in order to help you do what you're hoping to get out of this programme. Are there exams throughout the year for each course, or is there an exam term where they're grouped? No, so the way that our block structure works means that we have a 4-week teaching, and then we have a 1-week assessment period that takes after that. So those 4 weeks of teaching will be focusing on 3 or 4 subjects. They are all then tested the following assessment period. So you have 2 assessment periods per block, and that's where all of your assessment takes place, whether that's an essay or a group presentation, or whether it's a formal in-person exam. So they're structured throughout the year, but it means that once you've done a subject and you've done your assessment on it, that's then finished and you move on to the next subject. So you're not having to focus on every single assessment throughout the course of the year and just do one end of year assessment. That is the way that the undergraduates in Oxford work, but we do work slightly different, and we found that to be the best way of working on the MBA programme. So typical day look like? It's a tough one. So the way that our week is generally structured is that you could be in lectures from 9 till 5. So that could be 2 3-hour block lectures with lunch in the middle, or it could be 4 1.5-hour block structure lectures, because again, we work quite flexibly in that, depending on the pedagogical reasons that faculty might want to teach in different structures. But then in evenings, you could be doing finance lab, you could be doing impact lab, you could be part of CID. You might want to have booked time out over lunch to meet with your study team to work on a presentation you're doing for an assessment in a few weeks' time. Or you might be sitting up in the library, reading books, doing your reading, preparing for the next week. We then have Friday, which is set aside. We don't do any formal core teaching on a Friday. This is held for purely co-curricular activities. Our careers team normally have businesses coming in to do presentations there. You also have the time where the labs will book in. You might have student events going on. There might be wider events within the Oxford City that you want to attend, but it is a busy week, excuse me, especially in Michaelmas and Hillary, where you've got the core courses going on. You are busy, it's full on. When it gets to Trinity, it's slightly less classroom time because you've just got the 5 courses and you can put them wherever you want. Some people will pick to just have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday courses, so that you're not having to be here on Monday and Friday, and you can really focus on your job hunt. You can really focus on finding that internship. But there is no typical day, I'm afraid. It really depends what classes you're in, what extracurriculars you're taking. You can make it as busy or not busy as you want and get what you want out of this year by how involved you are. When is the graduation ceremony if it depends on college? I didn't talk about it earlier, so no need to apologise. The graduation ceremony The formal university organised one does depend on each college, so you'll have different dates. The graduation for the colleges takes place in the spring following the completion of the programme. So our programme ends in September. The final exam board meets in November, and that's when you're told if you've passed the MBA or not. It's then at that stage you're able to book your formal graduation with your college, which is normally between the March to May of the following year. And that's when you get your official certificate, your name is read out, and you are an actual graduate of Oxford. Prior to that, I sometimes raises concern, we are able to write letters that you have completed classroom teaching. We're able to kind of support job applications and anything like that. So do not worry about that. This is an Oxford length of time for getting assessments verified. We do confusing amounts of assessment, but your graduation will be through your college the spring following the end of your MBA year. The international electives, thank you, good question, and I didn't mention them. So we run 3 international electives. We run one in Johannesburg, we run one in New York, and we run one in London. These will count as Trinity electives, but obviously you bid for them in the same way as the other electives, but you will have the cost potentially of going elsewhere. These run in slightly different ways to the traditional teaching because you're going out to meet businesses or you've got guest speakers coming in, and it just gives you an opportunity to get something out of them. So we've got fintech in London, we've got marketing in New York, and we've got business in Africa in Johannesburg. All 3 will be running in April, normally for your academic year. We're currently in the process of planning fintech for our current cohort. That will be taking place in April, and we've moved Johannesburg to August, which gave us the best opportunity of being able to travel there without COVID restrictions or issues, because we wanted to be able to offer it if we could possibly do it. So they fall in Trinity term, it's before Trinity term, so they are over the Easter break, which means that they don't then create extra clashes with other possible Trinity electives, which gives you the best chance possible of having the ones that you're interested in. The exact vacation dates of the year. So I can share that year planner that we put up. So that is for your academic year. We've got the exact date. So I will make sure I share that with Megan after this session, and then it can be shared further with you guys. So you can just see the weeks that we need you in Oxford and the weeks that you're free to travel elsewhere. Are all classes going to be in person this year? That is certainly the plan. At the moment, all of our classes are in person. This year, since September, we've had as normal a year as we have since COVID. The classes have been in person. We've done some hybrid elements if faculty have unfortunately not been able to be in person because of COVID illnesses, but otherwise people are here. We're learning in person, we're working in person. Me and my team are in the office on various days as well. So it is as normal as possible now, which is really nice to have people back in the school. The catering team are back in, AV, IT, everyone's back there. So it will be as normal as possible, as long as COVID doesn't take us away again. We'll keep our fingers crossed. So that's that one. Is there a fixed number of electives that we are required to take? Yes, so there is a certain number of credits you have to take. For example, you take 1 elective in Hillary, 5 in Trinity, and then you take 2 credits, which could be 2 electives, 1 internship or 1 strategic consulting project in the summer. You can take, or you can apply to audit additional electives if there are others that you're interested in, but you can't take them for credit because you can't do more credits than the program requires. But for example, if there are 5 courses that you know you want to take for credit that will really contribute to your future career, brilliant, bid on those ones, get them for credit. Then if there are others that you're interested in, and they would have to take place at a different time to the ones you've chosen for credit, because we do expect you to attend all classes live, you can apply to audit an additional course, 2 additional courses, as many as you'd like, as long as you can attend them. In auditing, you apply, we let you know if you're able to audit it, if the faculty are happy to take auditors. We then ask that you attend all of the classes, you do the readings, you're fully engaged in the elective. It's just that you don't take the assessment at the end of it. So yes, please do take advantage. You'll be able to see all of the elective choices once the bidding process starts. We also list them on our virtual learning environment so that you can see kind of the areas that we're working on. And you are able to take as many as you physically can cope with, but please don't overdo it as well. We do have a duty of care. We want you guys to make it out of this year alive. We have 100% success rate so far at that, so hopefully we'll stick with that. But yes, take this opportunity to learn as much as you can, so you won't get it again. Explain a little bit more about GoTo. So GoTo was the brainchild of our last Dean, Professor Fano. What the idea is that you are looking at world scale problems and addressing them. You're not going out and sorting everything out, but you are taking a small part of what you can do, focusing on that and seeing what you can do about it. For example, subjects that we've had are the future of work, the future of water, the future of healthcare. And within that, you can then take, for example, a climate track or a social track and address a particular problem. And within your team, like, you're looking at practical reasons of how you can actually deal with that. It's not what we could possibly do that isn't practical on the ground, kind of addressing it. So you're looking at these amazing things. And what we're trying to show from that is that these are the Oxford students. Like, we know that we have the best students. This is our students and how they can address these incredible issues around the world and what can be done on that. And we have had people in the past that have worked on their GoTo project and taken that forward and used that as a future career. So it's to help set you up, help you to understand things in possibly a different way that you might not have thought about before, and ultimately present something realistic to the world on what you can do. So a bit more detail about the strategic consulting project. Yes, so the strategic consulting project is in flux. It's something that we look at each year, depending on the numbers from the students. We go out to companies, or companies contact us, various different companies. We've had L'Oreal in the past. We've had, I'm now going to have a blank, but we can let you know previous companies. And they basically set up a 6-week, normally, project for you. You then have a quite well-defined project within a company to work on and solve. And during that, you will be also working on your assessment, which is reflecting on what you've been doing within the project. This can either be that you've got a team together, so you already know the group that you'd like to work with, and you apply as a team to see which project you can work with, or as an individual, you want to take the strategic consulting project as your summer option, and therefore you put yourself forward as an individual, and we will put you in a team with the other individuals that are interested, and you would go for and work on that as well. When will the final elective list be published? So we get sent all of our teaching plans. It's normally the term prior to when they're taking place. So for our Trinity electives, for example, we will be in touch with you at the end, at the end of this year. We will be working on our timetable, or the faculty have to confirm that, so that by January, you can see the timetable you're going to be bidding on. You'll see the full list of electives. We also send out a preference survey beforehand. So it might be that actually 50 electives are put forward for the year. We can't fit 50 electives in for the year, and the faculty know that, but what we do is give you that list, and we get an initial interest in the student body who wants to be doing this. And it might be that one elective at the bottom doesn't have interest, and therefore we won't be scheduling it. So you'll get the wider list. Our aim is to get that to you during the pre-arrival area before you're even here in launch. So you'll be able to see that. We'll then be able to confirm, I say the short list, but it's still about 40 electives that will be timetabled, and they're the ones that you will be able to bid on. And then we will obviously come back out and confirm which electives you've got onto. If there are any that have incredibly small sign up, it's normally under 12 people, I believe. It can be subject to being cancelled, but we would then again contact the students that had bid on that and give them an opportunity to sign up for something else instead. I know whether the international elective will be counted as one of the electives required. Yes, so the international elective will count as one of your 5 Trinity electives. So if you did want to do that, that takes away from another option within the term. So you can then take 4 within Trinity term. And yes, it's full credit and it does count towards the programme as well. Is the strategic consulting project held on campus or do you go to a particular company? Yep, so it's normally at the company. You're normally embedded within them, wherever that is. We've had ones around the world. We have the London Stock Exchange. There might be an Oxford company that is looking to work with you, but the idea is that you are held within the particular company. It was only during the COVID years that we had to run them online because we weren't able to get people into the companies, but generally you will be there so that you're experiencing it day to day. You are kind of there as consultants to make the project better. Can we opt for more than one international elective? Unfortunately not, they do take place simultaneously. So it's just that week in Trinity where they all take place and you can only opt for one. So it's similar to all the other elective processes where you will have to make a decision on which will best fit your future career prospects. Has the date for matriculation been confirmed yet? We don't actually have control over this, I'm afraid. I know that it generally sits in a Saturday at around week 1 of Michaelmas term, which means it will likely sit around either the 8th or the 15th of October. It's normally within launch or at the very start of the Michaelmas term that it takes place, but you should have confirmation from that. Again, that's via your college and the Central University. So once you've got your college, then you can ask these questions of them and they should be able to help you with that. As well as looking at the university website, you can normally find some of these answers. Do students also take up internships outside the UK? I think I touched on this earlier, but yes, you can take an internship anywhere you want. For credit, as long as it fits within our criteria, not a problem. Please do make the most of it, make the most of any opportunities that you're offered, and we will do as much as we can. How many days do the international electives go on for? That differs. So for example, our FinTech one is a 4-day intensive course. That's running from the 11th to the 14th of April this year. Our Johannesburg one tends to be longer. That can be up to 10 days. And our New York one is normally a Monday to Friday. But we will make sure that you have all of these dates before you're having to bid on them. So you know when they're running, you know where you'll be. We do information sheets that try and highlight any costs that you're going to be liable for, anything like that. We'll make sure you have as much information as possible before you have to make any of these decisions. When do we need to be in Oxford for orientation? So launch starts on the 19th of September. That's Monday the 19th. It's really up to you as to when you hit Oxford, but we would like you in person on Monday the 19th. That gives you your first day when we get everyone in the school, introduce you to the dean, introduce you to Matthew, our programme director, and everyone else that's really going to make this year for you. So if you can be here in person, we understand there are always a few people that are either delayed a little bit for visas or if there are travel issues. Don't worry about it, we can accommodate you. But if you can be, Monday the 19th of September is the day you will see my smiling face in the main reception, and that's when we look forward to meeting you all there. What's the rough % mix of instruction between lecture, case study, practical project, etc.? That really depends on the courses. So we have about 24 hours of lecture per course. That's the sitting in the classroom, or not necessarily the classroom, depending on what course you're taking, but sitting and having a lecture. It's then that there might be a couple of hours of asynchronous in addition to that, that you need to work on as well during the course of the week. And then it's up to you how often you're sitting down with your groups to work on a project or on your assignment, or if you're having to do a group presentation, how often you're meeting to prepare for that. Case studies, we would be expecting you to read. That would normally be within the couple of hours of work that we might expect you to do outside of the course, just so that when you hit the ground in the lecture, you're prepared, you've read the case study, and it means that the faculty can actually refer to the case study in the class. This feedback that we have had in the past is if it's the case study you've taken the time to read is not being referred to in class because other members of the class may not have. So we want you to be as prepared as possible. If there is work that they ask you to do beforehand, please do it. They're not asking just for fun. but it's to get the most out of your teaching time with them. Because as I said, the year goes really quickly, the 4-week blocks of teaching go really quickly. You really need to commit and do as much as you can to get the most out of it. Does the careers team help secure internships? So the careers team will have their program Oscar, which is where they advertise internships that they have procured. It is up to you to secure them. So obviously in that respect, you need to go out and get them. It's not their job to do so. You are also very welcome to go out and find your own internships. You aren't restricted to only the ones that the careers team have advertised. But we do believe that the careers team are there to support you. They are not there to find you the job. They're not there to find you the internship, but they can help and advertise and give you the tools to be able to do that yourselves. We are powering through these. During the 6-week strategic consulting project, are you required to attend lectures of other electives? No. So if you're taking the strategic consulting project, that is your summer. That will get you 2 credits, and it means you don't have to take any summer electives. So you're focusing purely on your strategic consulting project, and that will be the final academic for credit part of the program that you're working on. Some colleges have provided acceptance starting October. Generally, in such cases, what would we recommend us doing in terms of accommodation? Accommodation questions, I would suggest you reach out to Megan and her team as well. So that's the recruitment and admissions team. They'll be able to advise on that and what you can do beforehand and stuff. I'm afraid that's not something that I'm hugely involved in. I'm sorry, I don't even live in Oxford, so I'm a lost cause on that bit, I'm afraid. How many days earlier to the 19th of September would you recommend us arriving in order to open bank accounts, etc.? This really depends on what you're able to do. There are students that will be coming having finished a job on the Friday before, and there'll be students that have taken the summer off to really work on coming to Oxford, finding somewhere to live, sorting all of that out. I generally would probably come for about a week or so before, but that is purely my personal way of dealing with things. We do try and fit time into launch so we have a bit of space for life admin, such as bank accounts, setting up a British phone number if you'd like one, so that you will have slightly structured time to have a few hours to go into the centre of town, sort out everything. We can also provide letters to help with opening bank accounts, everything like that. So it completely depends on what you are able to do, and we wouldn't want to say you have to be here. We'd recommend 2 weeks in advance if someone has to work until they're able to join us. So it depends on what works for you and what you feel you need to, but we will try and build time into launch so that you can do that from the 19th as well, if you need to. And I think that is the last question. So thank you very much. And I think I will hand back to Megan.
Great, thank you so much, Rachel. Lots of useful information there and a lot of questions as well. So thank you everyone for sending those through. If we didn't quite get through to your question or you'd like some further information, then I have popped our email address in the chat box there. So please do get in touch for further information or if you have any other questions. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you can join the rest of the sessions that are happening all throughout the rest of today. Big thank you to Rachel as well for this session. So thank you everyone and take care.